Let's start with a really unrealistic example and then move to a more realistic, or at least more common. So let me start with a really uncommon example and then move to a more realistic or a more common example of a negative side effect. So we can think about a big, totally unforeseeable negative side effect when we examine the Deepwater Horizon oil spill in the Gulf Coast of Mexico. Now, the Deepwater Horizon was an oil drilling platform, deepwater oil drilling platform owned by British Petroleum, BP, one of the biggest oil companies in the world. Now, what happened? They had a spill deep down in the ocean, a couple miles underneath. The pipe broke, it started leaking oil. They couldn't get down there to fix it for months. It leaked millions and millions of gallons of oil into the ocean. It washed up on the coast. It wrecked whole industries of fishing, of agriculture. It ruined boats, and it ruined people's livelihoods. And this is a gigantic negative side effect associated with starting a new project, oil investment, deepwater drilling oil investment in the Gulf Coast of Mexico. And it's probably one that couldn't really have been foreseen at the level of effect that it had. In other words, this single event, and it was a terrible one, but this single event affected BP and ended up costing them more than $50 billion. Right? Huge, huge impact. And it hurt all of their other projects. People were so mad at BP, like the public outrage is the negative side effect. People stopped wanting to, they encouraged congressional investigation, they encouraged fines, they sued BP, they stopped buying at their gas stations, and actually BP sold all their gas stations because people were boycotting them, things like that. So big negative side effects on their other projects. And that public outrage, they probably could have foreseen the possibility of a giant oil spill and all the financial costs associated with fixing that, or at least trying to fix it. What they probably didn't foresee is that it would be so bad that there would be all of these other considerations, these effects on their other investments from this kind of public outrage. And if we want to think about a sort of more common one, something that we could really, that probably could have been foreseen, but again, a major company more than once did not foresee this. You can think about the case of McDonald's, and there's two cases of McDonald's doing the same thing. The first one is with a sandwich called the Arch Deluxe. And so about 10 years ago, McDonald's introduced they were trying to compete with all these premium burger chains and, Five Guys, In-N-Out, Whataburger, all that stuff. And in that competition, they were seen as the lowest value sandwich. Everybody loves to hate on McDonald's. They didn't think their burgers were very good. They certainly weren't, premium, all beef, so they were trying to enter into that space to compete with the customers who would go to fast food burger joints, but wouldn't go to McDonald's. And so what they did is they introduced this sandwich called the Arch Deluxe. It was a premium, quarter pounder. They advertised it, real beef, fresh baked buns, they locally sourced produce, etc., etc. It was going to be their premium sandwich. It was going to cost more. They introduced it to great fanfare, and you might imagine the side effect that they'd encountered, which is that this wasn't enough to overcome people's aversion to McDonald's. And in the fact, it wasn't that people didn't go to McDonald's because they didn't have good enough products. It was that for whatever reason, people had associated McDonald's with a negative image in their head, and they weren't going there because of that. And no matter how good the sandwich or the coffee got, people just weren't going to go to McDonald's if they weren't going to go. What happened was this Arch Deluxe actually sold really well, but it sold well at the expense of the Big Mac and the normal quarter pounder. So this is a negative side effect we call cannibalism. The people that normally would go to McDonald's and buy a Big Mac, or normally would go and buy a quarter pounder, instead went and bought an Arch Deluxe. And so one of their investments negatively impacted others. Some other negative side effects that come up again with McDonald's is, and again, you might not remember this, but a couple of years ago, maybe 5 or 6 years ago now, McDonald's introduced all-day breakfast. They were going to serve breakfast all day, pancakes, eggs, sausage, all that stuff all day long. They thought people were really clamoring for it. They thought it would bring in people to McDonald's to buy all-day breakfast. people that normally wouldn't be up in time to get McDonald's breakfast menu from 5 to 10 a.m. or whenever it was. And this actually came with a lot of costs for the restaurants, for the franchisees, because you couldn't cook the breakfast foods on the same griddles that you were cooking the burgers on. So it required the purchase of these smaller side-by-side griddles that they were going to use just for breakfast items. So there's a big cost associated with this. And again, what they experienced, and this was after already, after they should know, right? Again, the Archdeluxe already happened. They should know that cannibalism is a thing. But what we saw again was major cannibalism. All day breakfast was a great success, but it didn't bring in new customers. It just cannibalized existing customers from what they would have bought to pancakes. Right? So those are negative side effects. They're again the ones that we really want to be concerned with. In other words, I'm going to give you some examples of positive side effects. And while I would love to have every project have a positive side effect if I'm a business owner or a manager, I'm not going to cry if I get a positive side effect. I'm going to jump for joy. Negative side effects are the ones that are project and sometimes even firm killers. And so these are the ones we really got to spend a lot of time thinking about. Now, on the positive side effect case, again, we can start with a totally unrealistic example. But imagine that we're a beer company and we are researching a new type of beer, and we're coming up with all different kinds of chemical formulas, and we're using new yeast, and we come up with this perfect beer, and it tastes great, and we start selling it. And what's the best possible thing that could happen to that? Well, imagine something like our new beer formulation cures cancer, and all of a sudden we have the highest in-demand beer ever known to man. Every single person in the world wants one of our beers because it can cure cancer, and we now have an enormous positive side effect on everything else we do because we are the company that cured cancer. Right? Again, totally unrealistic, but I really do think that it helps to think about the most extreme examples as a way to sort of put into context what we mean. Now, in a more realistic setting, a positive side effect can be as straightforward as developing a, say, new delivery system, or buying a new piece of machinery that is going to help make our process on all our other projects more efficient. Right? So I buy a new piece of machinery to start a new project, and it turns out that that new piece of machinery can also be used to facilitate production on my existing products, and can make my production of those products more efficient. So I have this positive side effect of taking my new project on my old one. Or you can imagine the case where my new project requires some delivery system, and then I can use that same delivery system to deliver all my other products. And because I'm making this investment for the new project, I can associate that cost with the project, and all my other projects will benefit. Now, what I should do here on both sides, positive and negative side effects, is I need to incorporate the costs or the benefits. If it's a new delivery system, maybe a cost reduction is the benefit, but I need to associate the benefits and the costs to my new project as if they were revenue or actual costs. So if my new project is going to hurt my other ones, that's a bigger set of costs for this new project to overcome. And then the last three are not sort of behavioral problems. It's just things that people commonly overlook. So we need to be careful about changes in net working capital, because this is an easy thing to overlook. Remember, net working capital is current assets minus current liabilities. So current assets are going to include things like cash and accounts receivable and inventory. Current liabilities are going to include things like accounts payable and notes payable. So short-term liabilities versus short-term assets. So when I start a new project, I'm often going to have to make changes in the firm's net working capital structure. And the big change we often see, and the one that I'll encourage you to think about think about changes in net working capital in this way when we're doing the examples, but the big change is we've got to make an investment in inventory or in parts inventory. So if I'm going to start building bicycles, I need to buy all the parts, and that is a big investment in inventory. And then as I use the parts to build the bicycles, I'm going to have to remake that investment in every successive year. So I'll have to spend, say, $10,000 on bicycle parts. Then I'll use all those parts. I'll empty out the parts warehouse to build the bicycles. Once I sell the bicycles, if I want to sell more the following year, I got to buy more parts. But I also could make changes in accounts receivable and accounts payable. Remember, accounts receivable is product that I've sold on credit to my customers, and accounts payable is supplies that I've bought on credit. So I might buy all of those supplies, those parts on credit as accounts payable, and then I might sell all of my bikes as accounts receivable on credit. And I need to make sure that those two things, I've thought about how I'm going to handle them, and I've included them in my analysis if they come with any associated costs or changes. Now, financing costs, these are the cost of raising the money to start the investing in the project. Remember, I've got to make all these investments before the project has been realized, before any of the revenues have come in. And so the financing costs are going to be the things like the interest if I raise financing using debt. Okay? So, and the final thing is taxes. I might have a tax change, I might be moved into a tax bracket, I might be anticipating a tax law change. All of those things will have direct measurable cash flow costs or effects on the project, and I need to be really careful about that. Make sure that I'm incorporating them. So which ones matter? Opportunity costs matter, right? Some costs don't matter. Side effects both matter. We got to account for both of them. Changes in net working capital definitely matter. Financing cost is not something we consider within the operating side of this analysis, but it is something we'll consider later in a separate financing analysis. And then taxes definitely matter, something we need to consider every time.